Hello. What you're going to see is a film about tobacco, more specifically about the strategies and manipulation used by the tobacco industry to sell their merchandise at any cost. Are you aware of what exactly hides behind a pack of cigarettes? Today we're going to focus on the issues of ethics, politics, economy, and the environment. Yes, I know, these are rather complex terms, but these questions are essential. I have just done some research on these subjects, and I would now like to take you along with me, introduce you to some people who will tell you some very striking things and give us something to think about on these subjects. We'll take a walk through worlds that are sometimes smoky and nauseating, but hey, don't worry, we should walk out from them with a great breath of fresh air. Shall we go? Well, are you coming? We are in the world of cigarette advertising and marketing. We're going to see how cigarette manufacturers use all sorts of strategies aimed at ensnaring young customers, us. All means are good in order to sell their merchandise at any cost. Hey, come on into the world of the killer slogan. Hello, Pascal Ditelme.
Bonjour.
You are one of those people that we call whistleblowers.
L'industrie du tabac est confrontée à un dilemme. Elle a absolument besoin des jeunes pour reprendre la consommation du produit. Chaque année, elle perd ses consommateurs, une partie de ceux-ci étant tués par la cigarette, et elle a besoin de se renouveler. Et elle doit cibler les jeunes parce que c'est à cet âge qu'on commence à fumer, et c'est à cet âge qu'on devient un fumeur loyal à vie. Et pour cela, l'industrie va créer des associations très étroites entre son produit et ce qui fascine les jeunes. L'industrie prétend qu'elle ne vend pas de cigarettes aux jeunes, qu'elle ne cible pas les jeunes, que sa publicité ne s'adresse pas aux jeunes. En fait, quand on regarde ces documents internes, ces documents qui était précédemment classé top secret confidentiel et qu'il a été obligé de mettre sur Internet à la suite d'une décision de la justice américaine, on obtient un message tout à fait différent. Un document de R.G. Reynolds montre très clairement, ça date de 1975, que la marque Camel doit augmenter sa part de marché des 14-24 ans. Un autre document confidentiel lui aussi, ce document nous dit « L'adolescent d'aujourd'hui est notre client régulier potentiel de demain et les fumeurs, à une écrasante majorité, commencent à fumer lorsqu'ils sont adolescents. »
The Project Archetype. Here's one of these cunning projects, unveiled by Philip Morris in the 90s in collaboration with a French marketing expert. The aim of this project: finding the best strategies to get us to smoke younger and younger. Yep, still the same story. But this project became a reference point for all cigarette manufacturers. They had understood everything about our behavior and psychology. Watch out, they've analyzed us to the very core of our personality. 4 recommendations resulting from this project are: stress that smoking is for adults only. Well, yeah, obviously. Make it difficult for minors to obtain cigarettes, like that they're more appealing. Continue having smoking perceived as a morally ambiguous activity. Well, it's clear we love misconduct. Stress that smoking is for people who like to take risks. That's exactly us.
L'industrie du tabac cible les jeunes. Elle a besoin des jeunes pour renouveler ses fumeurs et remplacer les fumeurs que son produit tue. Et son but, c'est de faire qu'à 18 ans, la norme soit une norme totalement fumeur. Et pour que cette norme soit fumeur à 18 ans, il faut les recruter avant 18 ans, au moment de l'adolescence, parce que le produit fait partie du développement de l'adolescent qui devient un adulte et s'intègre dans la définition de sa personnalité. Mais comment peut-elle le faire dans un contexte où la publicité est de plus en plus interdite? Elle a pour cela développé récemment une nouvelle approche, une approche non visible, une approche furtive qu'on appelle le marketing viral. Elle cherche à cibler les individus et à les faire entrer dans une toile, dans un réseau par lequel elle va les contacter ensuite de façon privée, sans même que ceux-ci soient conscients qu'ils font partie de ce réseau. Voyons comment on peut le faire avec un paquet de cigarettes. Je vous invite à me suivre pour une expérience concrète. Je vous invite à voir le contenu de ce paquet de cigarettes.
Hey, that's interesting. A secret code and a link to a website. This seems fishy to me. Let's take a closer look. Goodbye, Pascal Ditelme, and thank you for this information. If I sum up what he has just told us, in the world of nicotine and additives, nothing is left to chance. Cigarette manufacturers are often one step ahead of us and have quite an impressive marketing intelligence, one devoid of any scruples. We'll continue with our research. The code gives us access to all kind of treasure. Yeah, a 1 in 5,000 chance. And you have to give them your name? What interests me more are the parties we can win. That seems fun. General conditions. The parties can be won in 2 different ways. On the website, according to the conditions listed below, or during promotional activities. The winner of this draw wins a party, all expenses inclusive. Food, drinks, transport. He or she can invite up to 12 of their adult smoker friends. The winner, as well as each of their smoker friends, may invite an adult. Non-smoker? That's a good strategy to invite non-smokers to their parties and convert them. Wow. I'm not gonna go any further. I've seen enough. In their rules, it is written that one must be at least 18 years old and a smoker to take part. Well, a smoker, that's understood, but what guarantees that during these parties there are no minors? In any case, it has been acknowledged, they have told us, the target group is you. It's us, the young between 18 and 21, and the sooner we start, the better it is for the cigarette brands. If we start to smoke before we're 21, it will be that much harder to stop and we'll be addicted for much longer. And so we'll make the tobacco industry even richer. These parties seem to be a well-orchestrated scam. All right, what if we met someone who has already taken part in this kind of mega party filled with smoke? We're just gonna see what they think. Hi.
Bonjour.
You've taken part in these kind of parties organized by the cigarette brands?
Oui, j'ai participé plusieurs fois à des soirées co-organisées par des marques de cigarettes avec différentes marques.
Both as a participant and as a co-organizer?
Alors les deux, j'ai fait en tant que participant, donc simple consommateur de la soirée, et en tant que co-organisateur, donc en travaillant en amont avec les marques de cigarettes. Les conditions étant qu'il fallait qu'il n'y ait pas de mineurs et que la soirée soit privée.
So, what guarantees that there are no minors at these parties?
Pendant la soirée même, il y a 2 ou 3 représentants de la marque de cigarettes qui sont là, mais qui sont en fait des gens qui participent à la soirée. Et à aucun moment, il y a de contrôle de carte d'identité.
Does the fact that these parties are private allow one to be more flexible with the age limit?
Les soirées privées permettent évidemment plus de liberté que les soirées publiques. Et certainement que la volonté des marques de tabac de se positionner uniquement sur les soirées privées vient du fait qu'il n'y a pas de contrôle dans une soirée privée, par définition, et que du coup, ils sont plus libres.
How do they display their products during these parties?
Enfin, on fait toute la partie décoration qui nous appartient qu'à nous, donc Et pendant ce temps-là, parallèlement, les employés des cigarettes disposent un peu dans la maison des catalogues, des flyers de la marque et disposent un peu joliment comme dans les pubs avec les cigarettes qui sortent comme les bâtiments à New York, là. Les paquets de cigarettes. La présence de la marque est très évidente. Sans compter que les personnes qui travaillent pour la marque le soir même sont eux aussi des t-shirts brandés au nom de la marque. C'est aussi des gens qui ont l'âge des gens avec qui ils sont en train de passer la soirée, se retrouvent assez vite à boire un peu et leur métier devient d'autant plus facile que c'est assez facile de convaincre des gens un peu éméchés à 3h du matin de prendre un paquet de cigarettes et tout devient assez naturel.
Actually, these parties are like stylish cigarette stands, but more fun. They take advantage of the atmosphere where alcohol warms the spirit without being too mindful of the age limit, and bam, they dispose of their stock. All that to the benefit of the smoke merchants. What's more, they present this as a gift that's offered to us. That way we'll feel indebted to our generous donors. We'll be attached to them one way or another. Sneaky advertising. On the subject of manipulation and new strategies, we're going to move on to another stage, more and more subtle. See ya! And thanks for your story. The websites of the cigarette manufacturers. Quite pretty. Very colorful. What really interests us is to visit the websites that correspond to what they call our humanitarian actions or our charitable actions. Charitable actions? Operating responsibility, corporate social investment. Today, more than ever, communities expect from businesses that they apply their economic force to the accomplishment of extensive social objectives and to assume their corporate responsibility towards the community and the environment. These businesses seem to have rules of conduct, ethics, and involvement that are quite convincing. I'm quite impressed. But what's the real situation? Can we suppose that the actions of these businesses are purely altruistic, out of kindness, without expecting anything in return? Allow me to have some doubts. Let's take an even closer look. Eliminating child labor and tobacco growing. Here's one important humanitarian action. Combating child labor in tobacco fields. Don't you think? After some quick research, I was able to locate their foundation. It turns out it's here in Geneva. I got in touch with them to get a bit more information about their foundation. When I told them that I was doing research on tobacco and the strategies used by the manufacturers and that I wanted to know why BAT was the founder of their foundation, this is what they replied. I'm afraid that the ECLT is still unable to agree to your request to an interview. After considering the nature of the film that you wish to make and the type of organization that has commissioned it, I would make the following points. The only role of ECLT is to fight child labor in tobacco growing. ECLT does not take a position in tobacco prevention arguments as it is completely outside its mandate. Okay, we get it. Too bad. In any case, we can assume that they're duty-bound to their boss, and they're not ready to give opinions in a context that is not in their favor. And yet, I'm interested to know exactly what it is they do. Helping children who work in tobacco fields to find their way is a noble cause, no? I see that they're involved in work in Malawi. What work? In Malawi? To find out more, I'm going to connect with Marty Otañez. Hello, Mr. Otañez.
Hello.
As an expert on the subject of tobacco in Malawi, what do you think of the ECLT Foundation and its actions in Malawi?
So the foundation is an organization of different cigarette manufacturers and leaf buying companies. What they've done is they have a set of initiatives to produce corporate social responsibility schemes such as tree planting initiatives or school construction projects. And with those projects, they want people to believe that tobacco companies care about the environment, they're friends of workers. But in reality, the foundation specifically diverts public attention from the real problems at the farm level. In actuality, the foundation is set up to get people to not be critical of child labor or the environmental costs of tobacco production in Malawi and other developing countries.
Could you tell us a bit more about Malawi and the issues related to tobacco?
Malawi is a small country in Eastern Africa. It's one of the world's top producers of tobacco, and over 70% of the country's economy is tied to tobacco. There's about 500,000 people who work directly or indirectly in tobacco, and one of the problems with the country is the growing of tobacco, which has happened over 120 years in the history of the country. It has not brought the country any wealth, and most of the wealth that is produced through tobacco is usually ends up in the pockets of different tobacco companies like Philip Morris and British American Tobacco. So about 80,000 children between the ages of 5 and 14 devote their labor to tobacco growing in Malawi. The children, if they're lucky, may earn 25 cents a day for a hard day's work, or they may earn nothing. And so one of the reasons children are engaged in child labor is because of the nature of the labor contracts between a tobacco farming family and maybe a farm authority. The labor contracts require a lot of labor devoted to the harvesting of tobacco. And so a small family, they put their children in the fields instead of going to school in order for them to meet the requirements of the contract. So in Malawi, children as young as 5 years old are exposed to green tobacco sickness. Green tobacco sickness is nicotine poisoning that occurs when skin touches moist tobacco leaves. So a child as young as 5 years old who works all day in a field may be exposed to up to 50 milligrams of dissolved nicotine, which is equivalent to about 50 cigarettes. So you would think that Malawi benefits from tobacco growing, but the country doesn't necessarily benefit. You have a problem of child labor, deforestation, and other ways that tobacco companies are making a huge amount of money. Global tobacco companies need countries like Malawi because of the cheap leaf prices that exist there. And so it's beneficial to companies to keep Malawi addicted to tobacco growing, so tobacco companies could keep the stream of low-cost leaf open for their cigarettes.
Goodbye, Mr. Otanyas. Thank you for this information and for all your work. Poor Malawi, in every sense of the word. It's better to live here, no? Talking of which, what happens here in Switzerland where we find the headquarters of the major tobacco companies? Does their presence here and the consumption of tobacco benefit our economy? I told you we were going to speak about somewhat complicated themes, but stay with me. This is going to be our last point, and I assure you it's still fascinating. First point on the scale. How much does the tobacco industry bring in?
C'est le vôtre. Merci. Bonne journée.
Merci, bonne journée.
Vous désirez?
Hello, could you tell me how much tax there is per pack and how big a contribution that is to the Swiss economy? What is the tax portion of cigarettes?
Écoutez, actuellement, un paquet de cigarettes, c'est 7 francs 20, 7 francs 40. La taxe en question, c'est 60%, c'est-à-dire 4 francs 60 environ par paquet.
Vous permettez ? C'est une recette importante pour l'État, environ 2 milliards par an qui rentrent dans les caisses de l'État pour financer l'AVS. Si vous rajoutez les quelques centaines de millions versés comme salaire aux employés des 3 grandes entreprises de tabac installées ici, plus les impôts, c'est une somme importante.
So we arrive at a contribution of around 3 billion francs per year. Not bad. Thanks, cigarette manufacturers. But what about the expenses, also called the cost created by the consumption of tobacco? How about taking a small visit to see Professor Jean Renaud and his assistant? They know their stuff.
Bonjour.
In your study, you demonstrate with the help of numbers how in the end tobacco costs our society more. You speak of the social cost?
Le coût social, c'est une notion à première vue un peu abstraite. Donc en fait, le coût social, c'est le fardeau du tabagisme pour la société. Et puis ce coût social, on peut soit le mesurer, ce qu'on appelle unité naturelle, hein, c'est des décès, il y a à peu près 9000 décès, c'est des personnes malades, hein, c'est tous les cas de maladie, ou c'est des journées d'incapacité de travail, ou on peut le mesurer, c'est ce que font les économistes en francs. Et donc nous l'avons mesuré en francs, et nous sommes arrivés à la conclusion en fait que le coût social du tabagisme représente 10 milliards de francs.
Le coût social, c'est un terme général, global, pour parler de toutes les conséquences du tabagisme. Eh bien, la première partie, ce sont les coûts des traitements. Donc on doit traiter ces personnes malades. Ça coûte pour le système de santé, traitement, hospitalisation, médicaments, etc. Ensuite, ces personnes qui sont malades vont aller moins travailler, si on veut. C'est-à-dire que, eh bien, étant donné qu'elles n'ont pas un état de santé parfait, elles vont avoir des absences au travail, elles vont être moins productives, et puis certaines d'entre elles vont décéder prématurément. Donc c'est toutes des années pendant lesquelles elles auraient pu travailler qui vont être perdues. Donc ça, c'est un deuxième type de coût. Et puis finalement, le troisième type de coût, c'est des coûts qui sont liés à la perte de qualité de vie. Donc une personne qui est atteinte d'une maladie chronique liée au tabagisme, elle n'a pas la même qualité de vie qu'une personne en parfaite santé. Et ça représente un coût, un fardeau pour la société qu'on doit aussi prendre en compte.
Which represents?
Il faut bien comprendre que ce sont 10 milliards par année qui sont liés au tabagisme. Ce n'est pas 10 milliards sur une certaine période, c'est vraiment 10 milliards par année. En Suisse, on dépense par année entre 50 et 60 milliards de francs pour le système de santé, donc ça représente 1/5 des dépenses de santé en Suisse.
We can see how there is a great gap between the contributions to our economy that the tobacco industry can bring in and the exorbitant cost to the expense of the society, that is to say us, caused by the consumption of tobacco. It's as if each one of us, we're around 7 million inhabitants in Switzerland, children, grandparents, parents, ourselves all together, had given 1,500 francs to reduce and fight off the harmful effect of tobacco. That represents about 10 billion Swiss francs. Wow. Think of all that we could do with such a sum. That's more constructive. But so, what can be done?
Oui, en fait, le rôle des cigarettiers, c'est de vendre leurs produits. Oui, donc le tabac, en fait, c'est un marché, hein. Et pour comprendre le fonctionnement de ce marché, il faut savoir, en fait, que les fumeurs commencent à fumer à un certain âge et puis arrêtent à un certain moment. Soit par choix, soit parce qu'ils décèdent. Et ce qu'on sait aussi, donc, c'est que si l'industrie veut continuer d'avoir un marché, il faut qu'il y ait chaque fois qu'il y ait de nouveaux fumeurs. Et nous savons que si vous n'avez pas commencé de fumer à 21 ans, il y a très peu de chances que vous commenciez ensuite. Je crois que la probabilité est à peu près 10%. Donc 90% des gens qui fument ont commencé de fumer avant 21 ans. Donc en fait, la tâche de l'industrie, c'est d'arriver à convaincre les jeunes de commencer à fumer avant l'âge de 21 ans.
Donc, c'est pourquoi on remarque qu'il y a un intérêt particulier dans cette tranche d'âge. Et c'est là-dessus aussi que les efforts de l'industrie du tabac se portent. C'est-à-dire les jeunes entre, on va dire, 16 et 22 ans. Donc, toute la stratégie de l'industrie du tabac, c'est d'arriver à augmenter ou à maintenir constant un nombre de personnes qui commencent à fumer, c'est-à-dire les jeunes.
Thank you, Professor Jean-Renaud and Joachim Marty. This was very insightful. Well, we the young, we are the favorite target of the tobacco merchants. It's thanks to our lungs that they continue to get rich. It benefits them that we live long, yes, but with a cigarette in our mouth. Or if we don't survive, which could happen, they need to quickly find new consumers. We've just done some research surrounding the strategies and the manipulation of the tobacco industry. We have understood that their charitable actions were not all that charitable. We've also understood that their contribution to the economy, be it here in Switzerland or in Malawi, is not all that beneficial. That the work in tobacco fields can easily be transformed into quasi-slavery. And finally, that the fun parties organized by the manufacturers are a trap that aren't all that cool. So there, I hope you were able to keep up and that the path we took together has raised some questions in you. See ya!